I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You're not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh, yes I am. I've been on trial for that my entire life.
I have been on trial for that my entire life. That sentence is not about this courtroom. It is not about Joffrey. It is not even about the law. What Tyrion is saying in that moment, in front of his father, in front of the Iron Throne, is that the trial began the night he was born, and the judge has been sitting in that chair ever since. To calculate the atmospheric pressure of this throne room in King's Landing, we must understand what each man carries through that door before a single word is spoken. Joanna Lannister died giving birth to Tyrion. She was the only softness Tywin ever allowed inside himself. When she was gone, something in Tywin sealed over. Whatever remained of his capacity for fatherly feeling got redirected into one fixed story, that this dwarf child had taken her. Not a tragedy, a theft. Tyrion grew up convicted inside that story, wearing the sigil, tolerated at the table, guilty of the one thing no act could undo. Now Tyrion stands in the highest court in the realm, accused of killing a king he despised, judged by the father who has been quietly building toward this moment for 40 years. Cersei wants blood. The gallery wants spectacle. Tywin wants to finish what he started the night Joanna died. Tyrion has one move left.
I wish to confess. I wish to confess.
You wish to confess?
He says it twice. That repetition is not confidence. It is a man pressing through his own hesitation before it closes back over him. Tyrion had a strategy walking into that room. Play the political game, accept the wall. In the space between crossing the threshold and opening his mouth, the strategy dies. Something older and more dangerous takes over. The word father is the most loaded word in the entire scene. Not my lord, not a formal address to the bench. Father, direct, personal. He is not speaking to the presiding judge. He is speaking to the man who has been the source of the wound since before Tyrion could form the sentence. One last bid to be received as a son before he burns everything down. Notice what he does not say. He does not ask for mercy. He does not appeal to evidence. He does not remind the court of his service. He calls Tywin father and then says he wishes to confess. That sequence is not a legal strategy. It is the structure of a conversation that has been waiting to happen for 40 years. A son asking a father to finally be present for it. Tywin's four-word response, "You wish to confess," is delivered to the room. Not to Tyrion. He addresses the court. He does not look at his son. The involuntary surfacing of repressed truth under extreme psychological pressure, when the cost of maintaining a false narrative finally exceeds the cost of destroying it. Tyrion has suppressed the real confession his entire life, the one that says, "I know you blame me for her death. I know you have always blamed me. I have been performing innocence for 40 years to survive it." The trial strips the performance away. What surfaces is not a legal confession about Joffrey. It is the original wound forcing itself out in the only language that was ever available to it. Public, irreversible, and total.
I saved you. I saved this city and all your worthless lives. I should have let Stannis kill you all.
This lands before the dwarf line. It matters that it comes first. Tyrion is not starting with self-pity. He is starting with evidence. He is building the same case he tried to build in Tywin's chambers a season earlier. I bled for this family. I organized the defense. I held the line when your king was hiding. He is dressing it in contempt now, because contempt is the only armor he has left. Worthless lives is aimed in two directions at once, at the court and at Tywin. You are worthless to protect. You are worthless to sacrifice for. And yet here I am, having sacrificed for you, standing in front of you while you decide whether to execute me for the service. The emotion underneath the contempt is not hatred. It is grief. He is grieving a family that never claimed him as its own. A psychological defense in which a person preemptively strips the value from what the persecutor holds over them, declaring that the approval, the life, the name being threatened was never worth wanting in the first place. Tyrion cannot afford to want Tywin's recognition in this room. Wanting it would break him before the killing blow lands. So he converts the want into contempt. He tells himself and the entire gallery that saving these people was a mistake, that they are worthless. It is not what he believes. It is what he needs to believe to stay standing long enough to say the next thing.
I'm guilty of a far more monstrous crime. I'm guilty of being a dwarf.
You are not on trial for being a dwarf.
Oh, yes, I am. I've been on trial for that my entire life.
Sit with being a dwarf for a moment, not as a physical description, but as a legal charge. What Tyrion is naming is not his body. He is naming what his father turned his body into. Being a dwarf in this house meant, you arrived wrong. You cost us something we cannot recover. You exist as living proof of a catastrophe. You are, in your very presence, guilty of it. Joanna's death did not just leave Tyrion without a mother. It left him defined as the reason the mother was gone. Every time Tywin looked at his youngest son, Tyrion saw the verdict running underneath his eyes. And for 4 decades, Tyrion constructed an entire personality around it. The wit, the wine, the reading, the armor of intelligence. All of it a performance designed to make the verdict feel like a role he chose rather than a sentence he was already serving. I have been on trial for that my entire life collapses the performance. It does not ask for sympathy. It does not explain itself. It states a fact. The original child in the original crime stands up in a real courtroom and names the charge that was never written down. The internalized belief that one's fundamental existence, not any action, not any choice, is the source of damage done to others. The conviction that being born was itself the offense. Primal shame is different from guilt in a specific way. Guilt says, I did something wrong. Primal shame says, I am something wrong. Tyrion has been carrying the primal shame version since the first night of his life. This trial is the first time in 40 years that the internal verdict becomes external, which means it is also the first time Tyrion can face it directly, in a room full of witnesses, and refuse to absorb it quietly. He is not confessing to a crime. He is exposing the mechanism that has been prosecuting him before he was old enough to know it was happening.
I did not kill Joffrey, but I wish that I had. Watching your vicious bastard die gave me more relief than 1,000 lying whores.
The pivot here is surgical. He separates the legal charge from the emotional truth in a single breath. Did not kill him. Wish I had. Both things are true simultaneously. He is not lying. He is refusing to perform the innocence the court demands, while the court performs a justice it has no intention of delivering. Vicious bastard aimed at the dead king, in his grandfather's court, in front of his father who put him here, is not recklessness. It is precision. He is making the scene impossible to walk back. He is burning the door. 1,000 lying whores is not cruelty toward Shay. That line is Tyrion describing a life spent reaching for comfort in places where the specific comfort he needed was structurally unavailable. The gap he is describing was never sexual. It was formed the first night of his life, and no amount of warmth since has ever fully reached it.
I wish I was the monster you think I am. I wish I had enough poison for the whole pack of you. I would gladly give my life to watch you all swallow it.
This is the line the entire scene has been building toward. Parse it slowly. He is not claiming to be a monster. He is saying, you have already decided. And the cruelest part of your verdict is that it allowed me no room to be anything else, while also making sure I could never become the thing you named. He was not allowed to be the heir. He was not allowed to be the soldier. He was not permitted to be the lover. He was not even permitted to be the monster. He was permitted to be nothing except the dwarf at the table, the joke wearing the sigil, tolerated at the edges of a family that treated his existence as an ongoing insult. The wish to be the monster is the wish for one specific thing he has never possessed inside this house, a role that matches the sentence. If you are going to prosecute a man for the crime of existing, then at minimum the charge should fit the punishment. What Tyrion is exposing is not a desire for evil. He is exposing the logic of a system that manufactured a verdict and then refused to supply the crime that would justify it. The state in which a person's sense of self has been determined entirely by external authority, typically a parent or institution, leaving them unable to construct an autonomous identity. They exist only as the role that was assigned before they could resist it. Tyrion Lannister is the series' most complete portrait of identity foreclosure. His wit is not natural confidence. It is an adaptation. The only performance available to a man whose actual identity was seized before he was old enough to claim it. The drinking is not pleasure. It is management. The reading is not curiosity. It is the only place in his father's house where his mind was never under verdict. I wish I was the monster is what identity foreclosure sounds like when the adaptation finally fails under terminal pressure. He is not asking to become evil. He is asking, for the first time, to be something he chose himself.
I will not give my life for Joffrey's murder, and I know I'll get no justice here, so I will let the gods decide my fate. I demand a trial by combat.
Every line before this was Tyrion speaking to the wound. This line is Tyrion speaking to his survival. He has just done the most psychologically expensive thing a person can do, stated the full, unguarded truth of his interior life in a room designed to punish him for it. And then, instead of waiting to be destroyed, he reaches for the one mechanism in this world that gives him something no judge on that bench can remove from him: agency. Trial by combat is not a legal maneuver. It is a declaration of a specific kind. It says, I refuse the terms of your verdict. I refuse to be executed by the court that has been executing me my whole life without a sword. If I am going to die for the crime of being born, I will at least die on a field where the killing has to be honest, where the man who ends me has to be standing in front of me when he does it. No more verdicts from a distance. No more sentences handed down from chairs. For the first time in 40 years, Tyrion Lannister is fighting for himself. Not for Jaime, not performing survival, not managing the room with a joke. For the first time, actually choosing to live. But here is what the show never told you. In George R.R. Martin's source material, Tyrion's birth is recorded with a detail the show removes entirely. According to the histories in Fire and Blood, the infant Tyrion emerged not just small, but with mismatched eyes, one black and one green, and a small tail-like growth that had to be removed. The court maesters noted that Tywin was told his son would survive. Tywin asked no further questions. He left the room without once looking at the child directly. The show gives you Tywin's contempt in dialogue, words spoken years later. The books give you Tywin's contempt as his first act as a father, a silence so complete and so deliberate that it precedes language entirely. When Tyrion says he has been on trial his entire life, the books confirm the first session opened before Joanna's body was cold. What Tyrion does in that courtroom has a name outside of Westeros. Family therapists call it the identified patient dynamic, the family member assigned to carry the system's unprocessed grief as a personal defect. One person becomes the problem. The assignment happens early, before the child has language to contest it. Every behavior gets filtered through the original verdict after that point. Success reads as luck. Failure reads as proof. Most people carrying this role never get a courtroom. They never get the moment Tyrion gets. They just keep absorbing, in ordinary rooms with no trial by combat available. When Tyrion demands trial by combat, is he choosing to live, or choosing a death he finally controls himself? Two people watching that scene will answer it differently. Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I'll see you in the next.